Hello everyone. Welcome back to Sustainable Living with Shilpa Reddy, powered by Planet Green Farm Natura, a new beginning to your life. Today, I'm conversing with a dear friend who is kind, empathetic, and someone who seizes any opportunity to address a social cause. On this episode of Planet Green Sustainable Star, I have with me the ever-smiling, highly energetic, great actress, a new mom, Shriya Saran on my show. Hello, Shriya.
Hi.
A warm welcome to my show.
Thank you.
I've been wanting to have you on my show from last year, but season 2, you made it happen, so thank you again.
Thanks a lot for having me here. Thank you.
So, Shriya, when I think of Shriya, I've known you for 14 years now.
Actually, more, many years.
15 or 16, I don't know. Yeah, maybe many. I think you, many years.
Many.
But whenever I think of you,
It's more than 15 for sure.
More than 15?
Yeah.
I'm sure. Oh God, really? so, so whenever I think of Shriya, what the vision I get is this big, patent smile of yours with that laughter. Always joyful, always funny, goofy, a bit of a prankster.
We both are very goofy.
Oh, come on. It's about you now. Just stop it. So, see, you're always a joyful person. That's how I know, and that's how I think of Shriya when I do.
Thank
so,
you.
how do you sustain this happiness in your life?
I meditate. I do a lot of Kathak, dance. I'm very grateful that I'm in a profession that I love and I'm passionate about. So I feel happiness when I go to work. I try to surround myself with family and friends who I love. And I travel and I just try to do things that make me happy. Well, I've had my ups and downs. I've had moments of, I've had times when I felt that I was honestly depressed, and I was.
Really?
Breakdowns. But then I went back to dance, went back to a lot of meditation, went back to a lot of chanting and Kathak really, and of course work. It really helped me.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know you still practice Kathak.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Wow. I've also known you as somebody who would jump at any opportunity to address a social issue or help someone or be there for some organization if they want you to. How did you nurture empathy in your life? Is it something that you've been instilled from when you're a child through parenting or any other way?
Well, my mom's been always like that. And we lived in a very small colony where, you have people from all around the country and they live together. And I lived in a time and in a place where we didn't have cafes or restaurants. So if you wanted to eat something, you had to make friends with your aunt, or you have to go next door because she'll have a tree and you would get, like, let's say a mango from a tree, or you would get, so it was more like community living.
Community living, depending, helping.
Yeah, and you learned how to cycle with friends around, and you would cycle, and we had a common library and a common pool, and so it was always like you were listening to different languages and different people and from different backgrounds, and it was very beautiful because right there, my mom always took us to, always got us introduced in different charities right from the beginning.
Okay.
So I remember, because I grew up in Haridwar, I remember there was a massive earthquake, and then we had to pack all our old clothes in a bag. And then when my mom looked at me and she said that those are not enough, which meant that we had to pack most of the clothes and send them away. And so those are the things that she taught us, and I have learned it from her. So no matter how much we had, it was always about trying to give it as much as we can, as much as we could, and that's from my parents. Yeah.
Wow, that's such a nourishing childhood you had.
Yeah. Even my grandmother was like that. Anyone and everyone could come and eat in her house. It was an open house.
Wow. Wow, that's beautiful. I didn't know this side at all. Wow.
Yeah.
And now about your Spanda, Sri Spa?
Spandana Spa
Spandana Spa.
came.
The inspiration behind it.
When I was in school, when I was in 12th standard, I had a little bit of a stammer. I wasn't very confident.
Really? You had a stammer, Shriya?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't very confident. So, which is why when they gave Manam to me, it's my film where I play a character which stammers, and she's. It was a role which was very close to my heart. Because it took me back to those memories. I was not a very confident child, let's say.
Okay.
Even though I was a dancer and I loved dancing with Guru Shobna Narayan, and I was part of her troupe. There was a blind school right across my school. I went to DPS Mata Road, and there was a blind school right across. And I started going there and started playing with the kids there. And I volunteered to talk to them and record their lessons. And when I did that, I realized that when I spoke to them, I was very confident because all I felt was love. It didn't matter what they saw. All I felt and what I saw was just love in every form. And that changed me a lot. And so when I came to acting, when I started giving my own interviews, I was a more confident person because they gave me that love.
Okay.
And when I started recording for them, I consciously worked on my speech. And that helped me understand what problems I had with some alphabets.
Really?
And if I hadn't done that, I probably, it was difficult for me to give interviews. So I realized that they gave me so much. And I wanted to do something back.
Okay.
And so we started a blind spa in Bombay, where the whole place is run by blind people. And they're partially blind or fully blind.
Okay.
I like to call them specially gifted, not blind.
Absolutely.
We couldn't sustain it in COVID. COVID was a really rough patch for us.
Right.
And we're looking at getting back hopefully soon, but we did it for 10 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So what did this do to you? What did this do to them? And how did it impact the society?
Well, it was an amazing journey for 10 years because initially we were not doing well. I'm not good with business. And people used to come and ask me, why are you doing this? We will donate money. But it wasn't about money, really. It was about, and it wasn't about just giving them money. Because when I did that, and if there were no people coming for a massage, they literally used to ask me, is something wrong with us? Are we not good enough? And they were so happy and content when after, finishing a therapy, they were very happy because they felt that they've given something to someone.
They valued the service, or the life has some adding value to another person's life.
Yeah, and some of the stories are beautiful. So, a therapist got married.
Oh, wow.
They were very proud that they took money back home, which was their own money, which they earned. And partially blind therapists were actually really, really hardworking because they, in fact, went back to their village and worked on Sundays in the village. And when we worked with fully blind therapists, it was amazing. The way they would touch and come in the spa just once, and they knew exactly where was what.
Wow.
They needed no help.
Perception, sense
they needed help,
perception.
yeah. And when they touch your back or your hand, and they just know where the knots are.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of times they would just hold my hand, and they knew that I was tired.
Really?
Yeah, it was beautiful. And but there was one therapist who was really, really funny. He came to me and he said that you've been lying to us, you don't work in films. I said, but why would you say so? And he's totally blind.
Okay.
He said, but I saw your film yesterday and you were not there. And everyone started laughing. He said, no, it wasn't you. You sound very different now.
Okay.
because he saw my Telugu film.
Telugu film.
And I don't have it that film.
How did people take when you started this?
We had some regular customers who loved it, and some of them didn't understand. But a lot of them came once, and then they just had to trust once, and then they were sold and they loved it.
Right,
So it was a matter of coming once and giving it a try.
right.
A lot of people just said, "Oh, it's beautiful that you're doing that or this," and but they weren't really there. Like they didn't really care. But most of them, I feel that they learned something from them, and they learned about. I think the first thing that you learn when you work with especially gifted people is that life is not about cribbing and complaining. So let's not, like, the first thing we meet each other, we're like, oh, it's so hot, or it's the traffic is crazy. And all our therapists, Shilpa, they would take bus and train and travel most of them for about an hour or 2 hours
To get to
and
work.
get to work.
Wow.
And they would never complain about traffic. Never. Ever. In fact, they always have some beautiful story about how somebody always helped them or who held their hand, or how someone helped them get on a train.
Right, always grateful.
Always grateful. And we are always not grateful. Like, we forget to be grateful about luxuries that we have. Just, I'm not even talking about luxuries. I'm just talking about basic luxury that you open your eyes and you can see and you can smell and you can touch and you can just, your senses. They value each and every God gift so well. And I remember once, there was a beautiful story, a therapist, Datta, said that he was very upset one day that he went to eat pani puri and the guy didn't know how he would eat pani puri.
Okay.
And then he said, if I eat pani puri right, will you give me a free plate? And he said, yeah. And then so he was...
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
This happens?
This happens.
Oh God.
So I have endless stories about how the way they describe about making tea, it's just so beautiful. Like the smells and the way they describe, it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
We have a lot to learn. So those 10 years taught me a lot more than anything else ever taught me.
And I think you taught society also about how, they have gifted talent and how you can accept them and, have them at workplaces.
And it's very important, I think, also to have them at work. Yeah.
And what is the beauty secret? Not secret, but how do you sustain your beauty? Let's put it that way.
My mom was always about using everything in the kitchen. Like she would be cutting tomato, even now, and she just put it on her face, and then cucumber, and then just she rubs it, or peel potato, or when it's just she's doing something with basin, she just put it on her. It was just like, because she's also a working mom. She was a chemistry teacher, a senior chemistry teacher, and then she hardly had any time, but she was always doing these quick things and
in the kitchen,
and put it on her face, and then she literally, nothing ever went to waste in her kitchen. Yeah.
And I remember once we spoke about how you're interested in Ayurvedic skincare.
I am.
Did you always know its impact and benefits, or?
Well, again, I give the credit to my mom because she introduced me to the benefits of Ayurveda really early.
Okay.
So it's just, and I think she got it from her mom. And it was just a thing. I'm sure that's how it was in your family too.
Knowledge.
We just kind of lost it somewhere.
Or we sometimes now kids get embarrassed when we say rub a tomato onto your face.
Correct.
It's just that whole conditioning of the mind that only if you buy something, it is of some value or it does something to your face.
Yeah, my mom would oil my hair, and I remember my friends making fun of me in school.
I used to love that too.
And she did it till I was maybe in 11th standard. She
Oh,
oiled
really?
my
Oh,
hair.
11th, wow.
Yeah. My mom was a badass. She really did what she had to do to me. Like literally. It was crazy. I'm like, well, no, I can't. I'm like, yeah. And I did it. So oiling hair, or even up till today, I've never got a facial done. And it's been 20 years in film industry and with makeup and all of that, but I've never gotten that done. But yes, I use something natural every day on my face.
Wonderful.
And it all comes from my mom's kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah. And now my mom's taking this on to another level. But ever since we were kids, I remember nothing ever went to waste, because my mom would make small packets and find a cow and give it to a cow.
Oh, the
leftover, the peels and leftover
from the kitchen.
Yeah, and even now she does it in Bombay.
Really?
Yeah, she's another level.
Wow. So, congratulations on your motherhood.
Thank you.
And very quickly, I mean, you're super energetic, and very quickly you got back to work. How does women sustain their health, especially after delivering a child?
When I was pregnant, it was COVID, and it was really tough. I didn't tell anyone that I was pregnant. A lot of my friends were not well. I lost a friend. I lost, everyone. I think everyone I know lost somebody or the other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so it was very hard for me to talk about pregnancy, and I feel I was really low. And it's a real thing. A lot of women get very low, and I was alone in Barcelona. It was just Andre and me.
Oh, no family around.
No family. My mom came only for 2 months, that too in the end.
Okay.
And even in the hospital, it was very scary.
That time
because all the
it's
doctors
really
were just
scary.
wearing a mask, and it was just like, it was damn scary. And I said, now you push, but I felt like it was just a cold room, and the whole process was very tiring and very difficult, because I was alone. I love work, and I knew I wanted to get back to work. There's a lot of guilt now that I'm at work and rather is away, but I feel I needed to do this. I needed to get back. That was tough. I had to lose a lot of weight, which was tough. I tried to do it as naturally as I could, but it was a very tough process. And even now, it's just hard to leave her and
it's not.
be here.
Especially at this age, it's very difficult to
It's
leave.
very difficult. I really feel I cry like every time I leave her.
Right.
Yeah. But one thing that I did, which I urge every mother to do, is we used, even though we were in Barcelona and it was really hard for us, we used old cotton, and my mom got when she came from India, and we made her handmade nappies for her, the old style.
Right.
We call them
The cloth,
the cloth
nappies,
ones.
yeah.
And a lot of new companies, a lot of people are doing it. You can buy them now. And I'm looking out to supporting them now, because it's really, really important.
Right.
I know it sounds a little too weird, but yeah, every time you throw a nappy, and we used biodegradable nappy when we were in Barcelona.
Okay.
We were trying it really hard to find it in India also.
They are bamboo.
The bamboo ones.
Bamboo ones are supposedly the best now.
And I know, and when you're a mom, and I know it's so hard to make that choice, because what you want to do is you want to do the best for your child.
Correct.
And you don't care that time for the world.
Yeah.
And what you care for is a child. But a small shift can really make a huge difference.
I agree. Absolutely.
Because the nappies are the ones which are not degradable are a huge thread.
Yeah.
So we did that.
Well, that's great.
We're very proud of. We still do that. We still make her wear cotton ones.
Right.
Yeah.
So after the baby and while you were pregnant, what are the sustainable changes that you brought? Whether it is the kind of products you bought, what thought went into them?
I feel when you're pregnant, your eyes and your ears really open up to a lot of things that you were doing and you didn't know.
Yes.
Because suddenly you get a list of things that you can't eat, you can't do, you can't, pills you can't take, and then you're like, why? And you have all the time in the world to think.
Research.
You're like, and then you're like, damn, this is so bad for the environment. You don't think.
You don't think.
We were in Goa and we lived in a house, and it was amazing because we had a mango tree, we had a lot of trees and a lot of a little garden in the house, and a lot of things came from the garden. So
okay. Wow, right out of the garden.
Right out. We just plug that mango and eat it, or plug that
Wow.
army, and
That's a luxury these days.
yeah, that's a luxury. And made that mango chutney, and we were eating banana leaf, and we've forgotten eating on a banana leaf. It's the easiest thing to do.
Absolutely.
And I was sitting with my didi, my nanny, and my cook, and then they said, "You guys are going gaga about this. This is how we live in the village. This is how you're supposed to live.
Right. Yeah.
You're supposed to grow your own food.
Right.
Or you're supposed
as
to
much
be,
as you can.
as much as you can,
Yes.
and you're supposed to live like this." And they were laughing at me and my husband. They were like, hey, you guys are funny. And Andre, when he was younger, his grandparents, they had a farm where they had to grow their own vegetables, and
he had that childhood.
he had that childhood.
Oh, wonderful.
Because those days, that's how it was done. You were given a piece of land in Russia, and then you were to grow your own vegetables, and that was your place.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've kind of forgotten that. Somewhere we've just forgotten to live like that, and it's amazing that somewhere we're able to do that. We're trying to do that, and then awareness has come.
Right.
As a mom, ever since Radha has come, there are a lot of things I'm way more careful now than I was before.
Right.
But there are questions which are not answered. Like, I don't want to use plastic, and when I'm at home, I always carry my own bottle in my car, and Radha doesn't drink from a plastic bottle at all, even though she loves it. We had to give her at some airport, and then she found it very interesting. She thought she was one of us. But the problem is, most of the time, you have to use a plastic bottle. Like, what do you do? And that kind of angers me, because I don't know there's a way out. And how many glass bottles can I buy? What do I do when I'm traveling? And I travel a lot. Yes. About clothes. Now, that is something, it's a huge new concept now. But I've grown up in a very middle class family. So we always had clothes coming from our cousins and our clothes going to another cousin. So you bought new clothes. They were always put in a box, and they would be
in good condition. You used to go out so quickly.
It really didn't matter. Bad condition clothes also were gone to some cousin, and they came to you.
Yeah, it didn't really matter.
It didn't matter when you were growing up. It didn't matter. There was nothing like you just wore like dirty bands, like you just did. But and Radha, her clothes goes to her cousin, my brother's daughter, and most of her winter clothes come from her sister, who's older, Andre's niece. So it's like all in the family, it just keeps rotating.
Perfect.
But my mom's been always like that. Like, her clothes, her things come from a museum. And if it belongs to her, it goes to somebody.
Okay.
Or we donate. Now we do a lot of donations, and we send the clothes away. So a lot of donations that we believe in.
Okay.
We know. So yeah, that's been the same.
So you've been a dancer. I mean, you're trained classical Kathak dancer, and I also heard that you learned Rajasthani folk.
Yeah.
And I also learned that you incorporated social issues into dance form.
Yeah, when we were, but that was more of my teacher, Shobna Narayan.
Okay.
She did a beautiful show where it's about a mother who's pregnant and she's talking to her womb, and she's telling the womb about, she knows there's a girl child, about all the beautiful strong and lovely women who ruled the world or who are so powerful and who made huge difference, and just any girl who's so strong. And then when it's time for her to be born, the world around though they don't want her to be born, and how the mother takes a stand and the child is born finally.
So this was all shown in a dance form?
In dance form, yeah.
Wow.
So she used to do very beautiful dances like that. But me of late, I'm working on a couple of dance shows, which I wanna get back on Kathak and really start doing something.
How can we help the younger generation or the future generation embrace Indian classical art
It's a huge
forms?
question. I feel like it's a tough one. So we have 8 classical dance forms in India, and
8, okay.
all of them are dying. Like,
all of them are dying?
They are dying, yeah, literally. Because there's a very little audience that they want to go and see classical dance form. So yes, there's a time. That's just me talking. I mean, I'm not talking for other classical dancers, because a lot of them will be very angry with me for saying that. But I feel like there's maybe a need to preserve it the way it is, but also maybe blend it in modern dance.
Contemporize it a little?
Yeah, but that's what I want to do with Kathak, which my teacher is a very beautiful classical dancer, Nutan Patwardhan. She says you can do it, you should do it, but you must learn all, you must learn it all.
Then you can experiment.
If you know the rules, then you can experiment with the rules. Break them, you can break them, but learn them before.
Okay.
But at the same time, the audience are not going to see dance performances. There are no performance theatres anymore. Like Hyderabad has very few.
Correct.
Chennai still has a little bit of.
Chennai has the maximum.
Has a culture of going.
Right.
But you know, in Bombay there are a few, but they're not like as many as you need.
To keep them alive.
Keep them alive. Yeah, yeah.
What does dance do to you? Because not just to you, there's a spiritual, backing for the kind of choreography that happens, or the raga, tala. There's a lot of mathematical precision that goes behind it, right? So I would like you to say something that entices people to want to learn Indian art form, because it's enhancing your perception, enhancing your self, along with going up on your spiritual journey.
Well, the first thing it does to you is it teaches you respect, because if you don't respect your teacher, you can't learn. The second thing it teaches you, any dance form or music form or any art form, it teaches you the importance of practice, because you can do it for years and years and years, and then you might learn, like that's what Birju Maharaj said, then you might be lucky enough to learn as much as a drop in the ocean.
Even after learning for years.
After learning the whole years, yeah. And that's he said that's how much I know of dance. Even though he was a legend. So practice, respect. Another thing is it teaches you to be humble, because you can learn all the dance that you want, but something can just go wrong on stage.
Oh, okay.
Something can just go wrong, and something can go wrong before your day of performance. And it has happened many times,
It keeps you grounded.
It keeps you grounded because you know there's something higher and better. For me, what personally it does to me, and why I love dance so much, is that when I'm really truly dancing, when I'm dancing on stage or when I'm doing Kathak, when I'm truly there, even when I'm doing in front of a camera, I feel there's some kind of connection that I have with some kind of a force. Now, I'm not saying it's God, I'm not saying it's whatever.
Another dimension you're touching upon.
There is something that I feel like a light, and it kind of I feel I'm illuminated by it, and I don't know what it really is.
Okay.
But I can just feel it. And
you're probably touching a higher dimension that was not in your existence
so many times it has happened that I've performed and then I've actually really pulled a muscle at the back, and I couldn't move for like 15 days, and it happened maybe once or twice. But when you're there on stage, nothing matters. What matters is just to be on stage. And
so we have to sustain our Indian dance forms.
Any dance form has a lot of history. They are thousands and thousands of
traditional.
years old. They haven't been able to really, like, every time they trace Kathak, they it's like my guru Shona Narayan, she found out that it's even older than what they've said. So
Okay.
it's really hard to trace it. Because the earliest you find them is when they were in temples, and so you have dancers in different mudras, and so it's really hard to really say where it comes from and how
Which
old it is.
period it comes from?
Yeah, but it's old and it's ancient, and it has so much to teach you. It's, for me, it's spiritual, and every person has its own story for why they love dance. In Kathak, they say that the first time when Krishna danced on a snake, Nag, and that sound was Tatai Thaita. So that's the beginning of Kathak. But now that's story, but you can take it from anywhere.
Okay.
For me, what it did to me was when I was going through, I was very low. Everything was going really well for me, so no one could have predicted that I could be low. But somewhere vitamin D was not being made in my body and I was feeling depressed. But what I did was I went back to dance. I wasn't dancing for 10 years, and then I went back and I started learning again. Picked it up from the beginning.
So it was therapeutic.
For me, and suddenly I realized that I'm fine, I'm happy. So if you have an art form with you, any art form, you will always find something to come back.
Strength.
Yeah, it's almost like it pulls you back to life.
Wow.
So
that's profound.
It's your friend forever. Yeah. So.
Wow. So I heard that you're the only third film celebrity who addressed IIM after Shah Rukh Khan and Amir Khan.
My father was so happy. He was like so happy. He gave me a hug. Like, I'm really happy for you. And I'm like, it's just an interview. It's just, nothing big. Like, no, I'm really happy for you. You really made me proud. But it was interesting because when I went and I spoke at IIM, I researched and worked really hard for months, and I spoke to a lot of my friends about what I wanted to speak.
What did you speak about?
It was very interesting because back then I spoke about, because I started acting really young, I was 18.
Right.
And when I came to Savat, I had certain friends, like I told you, we lived in a colony. But when I came here, what it did to me was that I learned, I met different people. India changes every time you take a flight.
Okay.
When you go from Hyderabad to Delhi, it's a different place.
Right. Oh, of course.
And when you go from Delhi to like go to Kashmir or go to like Rajasthan
it's a
Kerala,
subcontinent.
but it's beautiful because it is. The more you travel, the more you realize it's not different, but it's one. Yeah. And it has a beautiful oneness in it. And it is so strong and it's so there. Yeah. And yet when you travel, you learn about different languages, you learn about different food.
So you talked about?
Talking about my acting days.
Okay.
So I learned...
No, what did you speak about?
I spoke about... So I took that as a background.
Okay, you took
that
as
a background. And I spoke about films as a medium of cultural exchange.
Okay.
So how you could watch a Telugu film sitting in Delhi, or how you could watch a Tamil film sitting in Jaipur.
Right.
Or a Malayali film sitting in Sikkim maybe, and actually learn so much about people in your own country, and learn how they're similar but they're different. How it's the same narrative, same canvas, yet the stories are different.
Right, yeah.
Yet the feelings are different.
Right.
Feelings are the same, but maybe the sense of humor is different, and how it's different, and how
it's
family values are the same,
is different.
But the nuances are different. And I spoke about that, and so I'm really happy I did that, because after that Bahubali came, and Pushpa has come, and then RRR, and all these films.
When was this?
This was maybe 8 years ago, 7 years ago, yeah.
So Shriya, the question I was going to ask is, where you went to IIM, and there's so many young, brilliant minds come out of those universities and institutions. How do you think they can impact sustainability?
Well, I think we all have to come together, and we all have to work together. Whether it's about a big business which you're starting and having that conscious thought, or it is just us changing our eating habits. Last 2 years, I've become vegetarian.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know this.
Yeah. Or about just like small things inculcating in our families about making sure we reuse our clothes. It's just I feel it's a chain reaction that you have to start in
Your personal life.
in a personal
then
life
to your professional.
to your professional life, but the thought has to be there. The idea
The thought
has to be there. Yeah.
Okay.
Upasana said it really well in your interview. That
Right. You won't get funding.
No, we won't get funding.
If you don't think in that
I
aspect.
thought it was really well spoken,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was very smart, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's so true. You won't get funding
Whether
if
you want
won't.
to do it or not, make sure you do it because you won't get funding.
Yeah, yeah. That's a smart
amazing.
advice from her.
Right.
Yeah.
What is your idea about sustainability? Just generally, how would you define sustainability?
If you travel a lot in last 15 years, last 20 years, and if you read news a lot, you hear, and it's scary because I was talking to Andre and he said that there is less snow in Russia now. There is hardly any snow in Petersburg where he lives, which is scary. Because Russia, talking about Petersburg, there's hardly any snow. And so if you think about it, yes, we've tried to clean Ganga, but it's still, I mean, you haven't changed people, have you? Because when I was in Banaras last, we've done so much to clean Banaras and to make it clean, but you still see people throwing things in Ganga, like in front of you, like it's just like, it's a done deal. And so you can't change these people, you have to go in and change them over the years. And so it's really important for all of us to start talking about it, because we need more land to grow vegetables. I mean, we can't have so many meat eaters as we have.
Right.
We have to change our eating habits. We have to preserve oceans if you're a diver and if you dive. When I went to Andaman first to dive, that was about 14 years ago, maybe 13 years ago.
Okay.
And it was beautiful. There was so much I saw. And when I went again to finish my course, it was hardly anything left.
Just in 15 years?
It was maybe in 8 years. Hardly. Like,
that's a drastic change.
And so the people who I know who've been diving for many years, they say it's just changing. Rapidly. Because I remember when I first met Andre in Maldives, we just were very lucky to get a very good dive. But otherwise, they said it's really hard to see like a whale shark, or you have to hunt and go find a manta ray.
So you're saying sustainability has to be in your mindset?
It has to be in your mindset, and you have to. It's you know. It's really like, for instance, when I tell this to my nephew, to my younger cousins in the family, it's really interesting that they understand, and they understand about how we. So when I was talking to him, I said I was diving in Indonesia, in the Far East, and I was diving, and it was so beautiful, but then there was so much plastic in the end.
Right.
And so, and they understand, and which is a great change, I feel. That
the younger
generation is understanding.
Understand, and
But a lot of times it's really hard for people to understand why do we have to preserve ocean, or why do we need more land, or why do we need to have sustainable eating habits.
Hence, we have you talking on the show.
But it is so interconnected, it's so important.
It is. Awareness is actually
Awareness
very
is really, really important. We have more floods now than before.
Untimely rains.
Untimely rains that we have now. It is a crazy time that we're living in.
So awareness and change of mindset.
Yeah, but I feel it's also a very important time because we can really teach a younger generation to make a change, and we can show them the right direction. And it's really important that we create awareness and keep talking about it.
Finally, Shriya, so I have a rapid choice round. I'm just going to ask you a few questions, not questions, give you a choice, and you just have to answer. I mean, pick from one of those two choices. Your favorites, mountains or beaches?
Beach for sure.
Grasslands or forests?
Forest.
Caves or valleys?
Caves.
Caves? You
Yeah.
meditate? Great
Yeah, we
meditation,
were
though.
pregnant. Auntie took me to some cave in south of France, and it was amazing. It was beautiful.
So caves for you.
Yeah.
Birds or animals?
I don't know, both.
Okay. Plant or a tree?
Tree,
Water, fire.
water,
Sun, moon.
both.
Both? Okay. Roses or lilies?
Lilies,
Fruits or veggies?
fruits.
Fruits, okay.
Sandra
Farming or
find it really
gardening?
funny. Half the veggies I don't eat. He's like, what kind of Indian are you? How can you not eat these veggies? Eat everything. Annoying.
Farming or gardening?
I would like farming. My dad has just started farming.
Oh, yeah, he did?
Yeah.
Wow.
He has a small little piece of land and he likes to farm there.
Sunrises or sunsets?
Sunrise.
Rivers or oceans?
Ocean.
Rain or snow?
Rain. Snow's too cold. Yeah.
Biking or trekking?
Biking.
Really?
Yeah. But I'm a very bad biker, so maybe I should say trekking, but I'm bad with both. I had a bike in Barcelona, which is so funny. Because every time I'm like, first of all, it's left and right? So I would
Right.
forget, and then I would forget where I'm going, so I have to bike like this. And I would wait after every 5 seconds and check, where do I have to go, where do I have to
With
go.
a map.
It was so funny.
It's a beautiful city.
I
though.
was wrong all the time.
Okay. House or a farmhouse?
Well, that's a question I've been asking myself. Both will be amazing.
Do you like to live in a city or a village?
I think to live, I'm a bit of both. I like city life, so I need a city. But then I need to go back to village as well, to a very peaceful, calm place as well. But I need both, a bit
Okay.
of both.
Skydiving or scuba diving?
Scuba diving for sure.
So, do you like summer or winter?
Summer for sure. Like every time Andre takes me to Russia in winter, and he's like, it's beautiful and it's snowing, and I'm like, but why is it snowing? And he's like, it's really important for the environment to snow, Shriya. It is very important.
So, do you like salads or smoothies?
I don't understand smoothies that well. No one's ever been able to make good smoothie for me. I would rather eat everything than put it together and blend it. So you give me everything and I'll eat it. But I like
can
salads
make really
more.
good smoothies, so probably I should teach you a few.
Yeah, you should give me some.
So this was supposed to be a rapid choice round, but then it went on like another interview because it's Shriya Saran.
Okay, I have to ask you a few questions. Why and
You're asking
how-
me questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
So why and how did you become so strongly about the whole idea of being sustainable?
Again, my son inspired me a lot.
Yeah.
Because from the day he was born, and when I thought of putting all the vegetables together and giving him something, I'm like, every vegetable I looked at, I knew how much pesticide and fertilizers were used to grow
Correct.
those vegetables. So I started growing my own spinach patch in my design studio, and I would just use that spinach for him, and I would have some tomato, pots from only those tomatoes was used for him, and other things I could source. But then we didn't have many organic farms and like
Yeah.
how we have right now. So it started from there, and since I was always into fitness and healthy eating, it started with food, wanting to eat food that can sustain your health. Then went on to changing my business model from using synthetics to handloom and cottons and silks, all natural fibers. And then after I started meditating and being an ardent follower of Sadhguru, and that inspired me a lot to inspect and investigate every action that I was performing and the consequences of my every action. So that naturally turned, I mean, not because people were talking about sustainability, but as a conscious choice. When you're conscious in every aspect of your life,
Correct.
you automatically turn towards sustainability. So that deepened, and when I started talking about it on my social media platforms, people took to it, and there was a need to educate and bring awareness. Hence, I started advocating, following, and this show is all about that.
But you're very strongly into it. I mean, you're strongly doing it. It's not like a one time, 5 interviews, but you're really doing it as a religion.
I wouldn't call it a religion, a lifestyle maybe.
A lifestyle, yeah.
And that
So
also
stronger
helped
word to
us
use.
to start, I mean, this show is actually for that. And then this show again organically made me start Sustain Cart. It's our e-commerce website. I started with my partner Kanti. And we are only, promoting and selling products that are sustainable. Will have less harmful impacts on the planet with our consumerism patterns of today. So Shriya, thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank
All the
you.
best.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. Please do subscribe to my channel. See you all next week. Signing off, Shilpa Reddy.